Thank you for staying with us. Still VOP this morning. Moving to the discussion proper. Bandit kingpin Bello Turji and his gang have been seen in videos celebrating their capture of a Nigerian armored personnel carrier. I don't like calling it just Nigerian armored personnel carrier. I'm talking about a mine-resistant armored personnel carrier and a stockpile of ammunition. And the operation was confirmed by counter-insurgency expert Zagazola Makama. He unfolded that when the troops responding to a bandit meeting were ambushed and trapped in marshy terrain, they were being overwhelmed by heavy gunfire and also the delay of air support. The soldiers were forced to retreat, abandoning their vehicle. Hours later, terrorist gang returned to the scene, firing in the air and flaunting their victory. Amid this escalating terrorist and bandit attack in Zamfara, Sokoto and Kebbi State, Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawale, has called on the military to relocate its command structure to the region to tackle the worsening security crisis. Reacting to the viral video on the social media, former Senator Shehu Sani, who condemned the attack, says it doesn't change Bandits kingpin Bello Turji's title as a terrorist, while Kaduna-based cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi reiterated his warning about the dangers of radicalizing bandits, sharing a video of them celebrating and chanting in Arabic, highlighting his earlier cautionary stance on the issue. Meanwhile, a group under the aegis of Igbo National Council, INC Worldwide, has revealed that about 98 security checkpoints exist in the 5 states of the southeastern region. It also lamented what it described as incessant harassment and extortion from citizens and motorists by security personnel manning the checkpoints, looking like the Nigerian army has misplaced its priority amidst these recent happenings. Over 100 Southwest Group under the Alliance of Yoruba Democratic Movement, AYDM, have condemned calls for a military takeover, warning that it could trigger secession in Nigeria. According to the group, since 1914 forceful amalgamation of Nigeria, the potentials of the Yoruba people have been stunted, and it was time for the Yoruba people to leave Nigeria as a viable alternative to ceaseless violence, killing, and coups. And it's quite interesting to know that this whole thing came up after a man who was putting on a camel, who happens to be a Nigerian army personnel, says that all they need is just a single order for them to move into action and, you know, take out all the bandits or people who are harassing Nigeria, especially in the northwestern region. Even as the governor of Zamfara State, Dauda himself was of the opinion that all they need is the power that be from the Hem of Affairs to say, we want to end this issue of insecurity, and it will be a thing of the past. And like I told us earlier, we have with us, though journalists virtually, but Ambassador Roy Okideve. He's a security expert. And also Mr. Akin Fatunke, a communication consultant, and Barrister Darlington Agummo, a political analyst. They are all with us this morning to help look at this issue. Good morning, Mr. Akin Fatunke.
Good morning.
Good to have you in today's show.
Always a pleasure. Good morning, our listeners and those who are watching us.
Good morning, Barrister Darlington.
Good morning, Fina, David, and Mr. Koro, and our viewers and listeners.
All right. Ambassador Roy, good morning. Good to have you in today's show again.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for being part of the show this morning. Ambassador, I would like to start with you as a security expert. What is really happening in Nigeria and the issue of insecurity now bedeviling us to the point that Nigeria will be losing a mine-resistant armored personnel carrier to the hands of bandits? What do you really make of this story?
Let me appreciate Oga Darlington there in the studio, and I'm happy that he's there because this is one thing that we have been talking about, and I think that all the security analysts that have been coming to on TV in Nigeria should be given trauma care allowance, because what we are going through, analyzing all of these things, is not okay for us. We profile solutions, we analyze, we profile solutions, we analyze, and it's just thrown waste bin. And people are dying every day. Now, if you look at that situation that took place, it is not even the armor tank that was taken, it is the moral depreciation.
Right.
You know, it is the insults. Do you know how many people they can recruit with that video? Those bandits, they are already showing to Nigerians that they are in charge. You know, do you know how much of international grants those people that sponsor terrorism, do you know how much they can get with that video? That they, you should see, we are in charge, we are in charge, and they will give them more weapons, more money, and everything. And we keep saying this thing every day. You don't even need to fight all these people. Just say 5 years ago, all the cases of terrorism and banditry, judiciary execute. Just judiciary execute. You will see those ones in the bush coming out to look for better job to do, because they will see execution taking place everywhere. Thank you.
Sorry, Ambassador, I'd like to stay with you as well. And I really would want you to help Nigerians make sense of this in the very tiniest of words. What exactly, how exactly is it possible for bandits to take over such high-powered equipment from the Nigerian army? Now, we're talking about an army that over the years before now helped Liberia, as very terrible as that country was going through insecurity. The same army is being taken over by some sect of bandits. Help Nigeria make sense of it in words, as very tiny as possible, how possible it is for that act to be carried out and executed. And most importantly, what is the implication of all of this going forward as concerning security in Nigeria, not just the Northeast?
Well, let me start with you, the press, okay? Because whenever there's a security grant and approval is given, the press is also supposed to interview the Ministry of Defense through their spokesperson to see how they have implemented the taxpayers' money in the protection of our territorial integrity and all our areas of vulnerability. Now, when you look at that process, if they have done a route mapping, they would have known that their equipment would not be able to sail through those swampy areas. If they have also done a backup recovery system, in case such happen, how early, how soon can it take us to recover it? Because, you know, Nigerian military is one of the best in the world. I keep saying it every day. When we were in service, it is just go and go, come and come that we know, you know, and the patriotism level is very high. And the collaboration too of Christians and Muslims, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, is you can't get it anywhere in the world. That's why we could even go to other countries that have problem in all this kind of crisis, ethnicity, and we'll go and cover it. Now, if you want to help the military, the questions that we should be asking is, what was the recovery plan of that vehicle? And when you put such a vehicle out there, do you have insurance for it? The men that are supposed to protect it, did they have air cover to protect that vehicle? Then also, if that vehicle have submerged in that place, you don't know that it's already a booby trap for the terrorists. Because if you get appropriate drone system, you could have dropped some bombs on those guys as they gathered around there and they are dancing with just 2 drones that we do one-on-one recall. So
all right, Mr. Roy, Ambassador Roy, I'll come back to you. Let me come to Barrister Agomo on this. Barrister Agomo, Dr. Roy, Ambassador Roy said something, you know, talked about recovery of the APC and all of that. But let me even ask you, how will you rate the Nigerian military, considering the fact that an alarm was raised that bandits were attacking a particular community? Our military rode an APC into a marshy terrain, and they got trapped. And after they got trapped, they were now overpowered by bandits. Do you see some kind of complicit, you know, between a certain group of people And the soldiers, because it's hard for me to believe how they will drive an APC into a marshy terrain and allow themselves to be overpowered by the bandits.
Let's just take a look at this clip and see the vehicle we're talking about. This is a mine-resistant, armored vehicle, personnel carrier. These are the bandits now hovering around it, where it was stopped.
After they had overpowered.
And
Nigerian soldiers.
this vehicle also have live ammunition in it that was also carted away.
Good.
All right, let's have it in a couple of seconds, please.
Now, thank you, Mr. Okoro. You see,
Barrister, hold on. Let's see the video.
Let's take this video quickly. All right, Barrister, let's have your thoughts.
Now, from what we have seen and heard in the past, I am suspecting sabotage here. In the first place, it is unthinkable that such a vehicle will be trapped in a marshy ground. We have seen in a war front where such vehicles pass through rivers. I mean, places that are more marshy than this place they are talking about. And they went through. They were not built to be stocked in a place. That particular vehicle is like the German SS Panzer.
Like a swamp boogie.
I'm telling you. So, and for the soldier to have surrendered so easily, and then for the airport to have delayed. When you add all this in together, for God's sake, how can you not tell me that the Nigerian soldiers surrendered their vehicle? Look, if they were Japanese soldiers, none of them will come back home because they should have committed harakiri. It is harakiri for them to even lose their men, not to talk of an important vehicle. And that thing is about $500,000. One of them. It is unheard of. And now they are videoing and televising everything and all that. Somebody somewhere is making a statement with this thing that happened.
Wow. Well,
somebody is telling us that they are capable of sabotaging or whatever effort the Tinubu want to make, because Alan was the one that ordered them to go and do clear this people.
Mr. King, at this point, I see a lot of persons talking about the level of some economic trouble in this part of the country, owing to the fact that this level of insecurity is happening in these states. And we're talking about Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Borno, and the likes. Take us through, from your own viewpoint, what is the high-level economic implication of this level of insecurity in this part of the country?
Very devastating. Indeed, unquantifiable. Confidence level is very, very important with people. I mean, irrespective of how you look at it. But please let me backtrack a little bit as a commentator. When you are badly led, when you are badly planned, naturally the outcomes will be something similar to what we are seeing. And I want to put my hand on my chest and appreciate our armed forces. Okay, naturally mistakes or error of judgment could come one way or the other. But when an error of judgment comes to you when you are in the air, you know you are going to collapse. And that is why you have what you call operations integrity management system. And nothing should go wrong. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time that our hapless forces are being made to go face bullets. And I will be the last to begin to deride our military until, in my view, we we get a little bit deeper into it.
Economically
speaking,
Yes.
economically speaking, we are wasting. Albeit, if it is true, Barrister Agomo is making a statement here, and I started thinking, there must be a high level of sabotage. We have always been talking about sabotage anyway, about the way and manner we have decided over the years, over government, to prosecute this insurgency war. I'm inclined to believe that when Abacha says, when this keeps on going on, you have the hands of government in it. I am not happy about the architecture. I'm not happy about the setup. I am hot, deeply hot and saddened as a human being that we keep on getting our soldiers to go and face what they are facing. He also said something which has an implication to economics.
Okay, Mr.
And that is-
Mr. Fetchke,
let
one
him
minute.
stop.
No, one minute. I want to get back to Ambassador Roy. We'll come back to you. Ambassador Roy. Ambassador Roy, are you there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you watched the video. Did you see the video clip? Okay, that's the video clip. And let me also ask you, do you think that the Nigerian military was clearly overwhelmed, or that there is some kind of complicit arrangement between the soldiers and the bandits and the people in higher authority? You know, I also like the fact that you mentioned that Nigerian soldiers, excel outside the country whenever they are on peacekeeping, peacemaking operations, and all of that. How would you rate the Nigerian military? And do you think that some people should be looked at? Because it's clearly disturbing that a vehicle like this, Barrister Agomo just said that in some places they are even fixed with Swambugi capabilities that they can pass through waters and marshy areas. But here we saw it got stuck. Is it something we should worry about?
Yeah. Anyway, you know, we cannot assess this situation right now. We are not on ground. We cannot also assess this situation because we don't know the marching orders that were given to the soldiers. We don't also know what emergency they were responding to. They were told that they should respond to an attack. Where is the route pattern? Are they supposed to lead other soldiers? Or was there air attack on that place and they were supposed to do sweeping? You know, so we don't know all of these things. So it would be improper to just quickly conclude that the military were incapacitated. But one thing that we have to agree with is that Nigerian security system is too reliant on the military. The military that we are talking about, if you have election going on in Borno State now, or in Imo State, or in Zamfara, or in Port Harcourt, you will hear that 2,000 policemen were deployed to that place. Now, in Nigeria, once there is any problem anywhere, they release the military. That is your last line of defense. So you are already overtasking them. You are exposing them to unprofessional practices, you know, and you are exposing them to being perused by their non-state actors so that their ways of reactions and projections would be exposed also. So it's not proper the way we are deploying our military.
You know, I wanted to ask
and in
you
this
that
particular
Ambassador
instance, we
Roy.
cannot conclude.
I wanted to ask you that
Yeah.
earlier over the fact that in the southeast alone, we have over 90 checkpoints, you know, littered around, you know, the 5 states in the southeast, where we are not even getting the amount or the level of insecurity happenings that happen to be in the northwest now, and even the northeast and north central. Now, do you also do you share that line of thought also, that the military kind of having a misplaced priority, whereby they will send you know, a larger number of the Nigerian troops to a place that is not all that exposed to the issue of insecurity, even when we know that, you know, insecurity now is a general thing in Nigeria?
Okay, let me help you to rephrase that. I agree that the federal government has misplaced the priority of the military. I don't agree that the military has misplaced priority. The military is at the beck and call of the government. The military is there to protect the government. Beck and call. So it is difficult for the military to go against a federal executive order. So it is the federal government that is misplacing the priority of the military and deploying them to policing activities. That is one. Two, the government itself supposed to have solar-powered cameras in all checkpoints in the country. Solar-powered cameras with a central viewing system in the DSS and in the Inspector General of Police as assigned locations. Now, if you have that, it will also protect the agency personnel, it will reduce corruption at those checking points, and the reliance on those checking points to curb insecurity on that area will be properly assessed. You know, so we don't have that. Another thing that we don't have is secret monitoring. Even the NIJ, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, when they want to do their IT and all those things, they're supposed to release investigative journalism to go with body cameras and assess the true picture of things, so that somebody don't sit down somewhere and just say all the checking points are irrelevant, all the checking points are corrupt. You must have tangible evidence to show culpability, and those areas will be dealt with seriously. So the military is subject to the federal government and cannot have a misplaced priority. It is the federal government that is misplacing the priority of the military.
All right,
Thank you.
Ambassador.
Well, Barrister,
Yes.
I'm going to come to you. Still on the same question, but I want you to take it on another angle.
Okay.
Some few days back, in fact, as we speak, there would be the trial of some persons that were, of course, arrested as a result of the End Bad Governance protest. Now, some quarters have said that the government seemed to be high in taking that level of security of people who they believe want to take or topple the government as very important. But the issue of banditry and kidnapping and, of course, terrorism seem not to have gained momentum. Now, just like we heard Ambassador Roy said, that this is as a result of the government not taking its priority right. Do you share this opinion? Because, again, PDOM Nigeria was arrested. Is there any level of misplaced priority on the part of the government, particularly when it comes to insecurity in Nigeria?
Now, before I will get to this question, I want us to interrogate this particular man, Bello Tojo. I will now tie it to your question. This man is a Nigerian. He has been operating in Nigerian soil for so long. He was tortured somewhere in Zamfara, and a government official went to witness it. At a point, the junta in Niger taunted him that, look, it is Nigerian government that is protecting him. You, Tojo Bello. If you want to get you, we can get you. That was when they arrested one of his commanders in Niger. At that time, the Nigerian government kept quiet. They didn't say anything. They witnessed his turbaning. This man has been operating here. Now, let me ask you, do you think, in all sincerity, that the paymasters to that guy, his paymasters will allow him to be taken out like that? Please, somebody should answer this question. Somebody has been supporting him. So when we are talking of government, they have been pampering these people. That is why they have become so large and so big. But when you don't protest, just say, I am hungry, government, do something for me, you become a treasonable felony candidate.
Barrister Agomo,
Yes.
are you of the opinion that Tojo Bello is not acting on his own?
In my place, they said any child whose father was sent to go and thief in a neighbor's house, he goes there with boldness. He doesn't entertain any fear. This guy can come into Nigerian soil. I told you where he's coming from. Is that not enough to tell you that some people brought him here and they tortured him in Nigerian soil? A terrorist. What does that tell you? Government officials, not just street urchins, they went to witness the turbaning. So what are you saying here? So somebody is behind him, so they wouldn't want him to be taken out like that.
So why would someone actually be behind a particular person to make sure that a country is being pulled down using insecurity as a tool?
Oh, really? So it is today that you know that some people don't love Nigeria, even though they claim to be Nigerian, they are not. They have told you that their liver and their kidney is in Niger, while they are in Nigeria here to take whatever they can. Some people went there to go and bring terrorists into your country. If you really love Nigeria, can you do that?
Or Mr. King, it's like you have a different
opinion. Can you do that?
As regards this particular question.
Why would I have a different opinion? It's telling you the basic truth, and that's exactly what I've told you. The hands of government, the hand of politicians, we are not united. We are not politically united. We've not been able to resolve the Nigerian question. And if you look at Zamfara, the immediate past government, you remember at one point in time, in fact, I like the thrust of your question. I mean, we went to the southeast. So in the southeast, the IPOB is a terrorist group. And then we are calling these ones bandits. We are not serious. So if you are not serious, I don't know what other way you expect me to look at this. Barrister Gobo, I am happy at you going to dot the I's and cross the T's here. If we went to the ban Bello, this same Bello that has the same similar name to Bello Matawali that is now the one that we choose to now be the Minister of Defense.
State.
Are we not joking? So and the terrorists have told you that he's working with Matawali. When he told you that they are partners in crime, he told you.
When you joke too far, he just talked about Matawali, Bello, and then the other Bello. When Debbie of Chad, of blessed memory, when he drove terrorists as far back as our territory,
exactly,
even went into our territory, allegedly, there are so many alleged here. People said, please stop. So we are not serious.
So there are, sorry, before we go there, sorry.
There are locals, there are politicians.
In one sentence,
yes,
the presidency at this point is still confidently staying with his service chief after a year in office. Now, the service chiefs that we're talking about, security service chiefs, one of them is the same person we're talking about, Mr. Bello Matawale, who in some few weeks ago had issues with his predecessor. I'm talking about Dawda Lawal, telling him to do the same thing in terms of negotiating with terrorists in his state. Yeah. Now, at this point, if the presidency is not thinking of rejigging his military, his cabinet, I beg your pardon, what then should we be saying when we are trying to fight security?
What we should be saying is what we are already saying. There is underperformance. There is lack of serious priorities. There is divide and rule. I go back to where I started from because of human lives. It was alleged and it was not, controverted that in that theater of war, certain, I'm careful, but I'll say it, certain members of our military from a particular part of the country are the ones that you send to the battlefield to go and face bullets. I hate to say that. And when situations are such that internally, you government, and the politicians, including the locals around that place. Barrister Agomon was making the point that this Bello is from Niger. Okay. Are we therefore surprised that we are getting what we are getting?
Permit me to interrupt your thought. Ambassador Roy, I'm coming back to you. You recall that recently, not just recently, but over time, a certain cleric, Ahmad Gumi, is of the opinion that, look, we should negotiate with bandits. That we should, and recently he came out to say that that we are reaping the fruits
of
not pampering them, of not negotiating with them, and that is why they have gone haywire. That is why they are disturbing, causing havoc, carnage in all parts of the country. Ambassador Roy, do you share Ahmad Gumi's opinion that we are the ones radicalizing these elements by not negotiating with them?
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate the other guests that we have in the studio. You can see that everybody. I'm laughing in depression. In fact, when they were talking, what do you mean? Who is Gumi? I've asked this question on different kinds of television. Who is Gumi? There is an Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators in Nigeria. It has senior advocates even as members. I am also a member of the Institute. I'm a fellow of the Institute. Now, mediation and conciliation must have both parties in agreement. Now, you are coming to speak for bandits, whom my other guests in the office have corrected you that they are terrorists, not bandits. Now, we have a correctional system in Nigeria. We have a criminal justice system in Nigeria where you go through if you are a criminal or you are found in any criminal activity. Now, you talk of de-radicalization, which is already a process of negotiation in their own interest, because it is the IDPs that are thrown into IDP camps, the legitimate owners of the territory that you routed. Then it is the soldiers too that you kill their colleagues that are used to protect you in your de-radicalization camp. And Nigerian taxpayers' money are used to buy you chicken and ice cream in that place. And we are talking about a criminal justice system not existing. The other time we had so many of them in jail, they broke out and walked away in Nigeria that we have today. So I will not entertain the interest of people looking at Ahmed Gumi as a negotiator when his deputy was caught diverting and also adding markup to terrorists' ransom money from innocent Nigerians. This is very disheartening, if I must say.
Why do you think the government is mum over all these things, given the fact that Gumi is still moving around freely, and not just that, in Borno State, the process of reintegration of terrorist members, they said repentant Boko Haram members now, into the society is still ongoing, Ambassador Roy?
The government has not prioritized its activities. It has not prioritized its activities. If it prioritizes activities, it does not even mean I give you a static line plan how to penetrate these guys, how to pick them up, how to silence them because you caught them in the act, and how to make sure that the others run away back to Niger, Cameroon, or whatever community they came from. If you use the army to rout them up, they will disintegrate and form cells in other places and regroup and start again. So we have cascading down lines. We have the immigration, we have the DSS, we have the NIA, we have the police. The police have counterterrorism groups also inside of it. If it is time to go and pick up a politician or somebody, the DSS will wear their black and jump through the roof and break into the person's house. But this is where we need the different levels of security apparatus to penetrate, to extricate, and to present. When you present, the judiciary is supposed to have quick judgment and make sure those people are taken away from the society, sentence them to death, which is the penalty for terrorism in other countries that we are also under, ECOWAS, United Nations, all of the countries. So why do we pamper them? Because we have a government who needs all these hoodlums to terrorize their opponent anytime there's an election coming. So anytime there's an election coming, they give these people's guns and they give them opportunity to abuse the police, abuse the territorial integrity, to intimidate their opponent. After election, you cannot control them anymore. You cannot put them in check. And they begin to deal with innocent Nigerians, medical doctors Do you know how many of them we have trauma and leave this country as young medical doctors? Students in the school. Do you know how many other students will not want to go to school because they kidnap students in the school? And this is happening to Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. So we can't even say it's Christians again. They go into the mosque and kill everybody. You know, it's an insult to the federal government. They should sack everyone of the service chief, sack the inspector general of police immediately. See what happened in the US, where I am right now, for the attempt on the life of Donald Trump. Everybody was given the opportunity to defend themselves, and they faced the penalty.
Yeah. All right, now Ambassador Roy, from what you just said, now they should sack all the people that happen to be sacked. But we know that the present administration under the president himself, he came up to give a vote of thanks, saying that, vote of confidence, I beg your pardon, that the service chiefs, they are doing what he asked them to do. So no one is thinking of sacking them anytime soon. But you also know that the DSS boss resigned, also with that of the NIA, and we have new boss. We have Mohammed now as the NIA, director. And don't you think that this having a new boss for DSS and National Intelligence Agency will also have a positive impact on cabinet security? And just so as you want to answer that, also I want to chip in this. Just yesterday, we have Bello Matabale giving an order that the defense chiefs should move from wherever they are to Sokoto and other parts of the Northwest. Do you also think that these orders will help to, curb the issue of insecurity coming majorly now from that axis? Or do you think it's going to be on arrival?
That is giving instruction for military to relocate to Sokoto State. Is he not the one that has weakened the military more? Do you know that veterans have a lot of requests on his table, legitimate requests? A man has paid deaf ears to all of those requests, and you want the military to be strong. Does he not know also that the CDS does not need to go to Sokoto when we have rugged and gallant battalion commanders that can destroy that place? What he should do, he should go to the judiciary. He should go and bring up all the cases of all the terrorists and begin to execute them from the judiciary, from the prisons. And that will send the right message to the ones in the bush. We come out by themselves and come and submit themselves. So the strategy, the prioritization, and the interest are all weakened by personal compromise. And I say this clearly. All of those people in Ministry of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff and everybody, they are elected politically to be in those offices. They are not the true eye of the military that we should have. And they do not represent the kind of Nigerian military that I know I served and I'm ready to die for any day in my life.
Oh, an interesting time there. Barrister, this revelation is coming from the point where Nigerians are still battling with some high level of food insecurity. And of course, when we say insecurity, if the farmers even in the northeast and the northwest are not going to farm, it simply means that we will be getting the brunt thereafter. How do you respond to criticism that the government is not doing well enough to address the issue of banditry and terrorism, to the point that Nigerians are paying tax to bandits to go to the farm?
David, are you surprised? Look, my people used to say that if you allow evil to fester for too long in an environment, it becomes a tradition and culture of that people. As I'm talking to you now, terrorism has come into our curriculum. Some time ago, somebody was muting the idea of teaching our youth security or something. I had it. He was saying they will inculcate it in our school so that they will learn how to, they will put security in their... Counterinsurgency. Something like that. I said, what? Even in communist states, it wasn't this bad. So what I'm not telling you is that the government they are not ready to solve this problem. Somebody is benefiting from it. Pure ED. Whether you like it or not, somebody is benefiting from it. In the first place, How did they come inside here? Were you not told that they were brought here to help them win the election? Is the election over in Nigeria? David, are you not going to do another election in 2027, 2031, and so on? Elections have not ended. So as long as we are going to conduct elections in Nigeria, they will be relevant. If you clear them now, who will do the dirty job for you? I mean, is that not obvious? Why do you think that for 9 years, in fact, 15 years now, nobody, Jonathan tried to eliminate these guys when he brought in Hejirika to tell you the seriousness. When he discovered that Boko Haram is in his cabinet, he went outside, brought somebody, a neutral person, and the man who gave them hell. It was Hejirika who told us about Sambisa Forest. That's where he chased them into. All of a sudden, Boko Haram started talking of their human rights. Boko Haram, they started writing to UN of their human rights. Northern leaders, they started writing that Jonathan is committing.
Some quarters
I was
of
shocked.
opinion that it was as regards of the illegal mining activities happening in Nigeria. Remember that Dela Alake told us that Nigeria loses $9 million every year on illegal mining activities, which he also attributes to be an activities of some cabals. He said the big wigs in Nigeria are the ones carrying out the issue of illegal mining in Nigeria. Barry said you also share that line.
I don't really share it because when you don't want to solve your problem, when you don't want to do anything, you look for somebody to blame.
Interesting.
That's what he did. You're a minister. I don't know anybody that is more powerful than the federal government. So each time I hear that some cabal, some this, so the cabal is now stronger and bigger than the federal government of Nigeria.
How
It means you,
Okay.
you don't want to do anything.
I want to come to Mr. Aki on something. Mr. Aki, talking about insecurity and recent happenings. Some people broach the idea of a coup, that the military should come in and all of that. In the light of that, a group of over 100 people, groups from the Southwest said, no, if there's a coup, we are going to leave this country. What do you have to say about that?
Don't speak for me. They are not. Yes, like I told you.
They have tried it before.
We have different tribes and different tongues. We are not united. Please, can we go to basic tax? On this matter, we are looking at insecurity. We've just spoken about food insecurity.
Yes.
All our SDG goals, about 17 of them, we are all looking right. It tells you that Nigeria is not viable. Yes, Nigeria has potential.
So in other words, for the past 10 years plus, there had been no leader, political leader, with the political will to put insecurity to the bottom.
I will not limit it to 10 years. I will say since we came back into this quasi-democracy that we are operating, yes, of course, it's gotten progressively worse. Look, my dears and Nigerians, let's continue to tinker and speak a lot of Turanchian grammar. Nigeria is not working. The buck stops on Mr. President's table. Yes, I know there are political undertones and an attempt to try and just jiggle and wiggle.
And it's not enough for a group of people to say we want to leave.
And if you want to leave, there are laid out procedures for you to want to leave. It's for you. They don't speak for me. Because whether you leave or you don't leave, it does not remove the cankerworm of what we have by way of cancer that is bedeviling the Nigerian situation. Right now, my advice would be for the Commander-in-Chief to heed to the voice of reason. It's high time now. The patriots came and said, we must rethink, recalibrate, and restructure Nigeria. So whether you are talking about, non-state actors, whether you are talking about, I made an allusion to some people going to face, the bullets for things that we should already take care of. The ambassador over there said we are not serious. Of course, we are not serious. The terrorist financing, government has all those lists. Why don't you bring it out and then get it over with? In other words, my final word here is, let's get serious. We are not serious at all levels, politicians and non-politicians alike, ethnic or non-ethnic. We do not speak in unity about this country. And as long as that continues, we'll continue to have this kind of situation. But like I said, I sympathize with our military. I know they are going through a lot while we are sleeping. All these inefficiencies and all this corruption in all places is affecting them, and they are taking the bullets on our behalf. I pray that Daniel will come to justice very, very, very quickly and get us out of this quagmire.
It's interesting you did mention that Daniel should come. How soon will the Daniel come? That seemed to be a major question in the lips of Nigerians. But interestingly, we would from here dive into the next conversation, and this is another very, very interesting statement by this time a state actor saying, I will cause trouble in your state. And he was alluding this statement, of course, to governors who he claims are supporting his predecessor. And I'm talking about FCT Minister Nyesom Wike saying, I will cause trouble in your state. And of course, this threat is taken and dragged to PDP governors supporting Fubara. We want to say thank you to Ambassador Roy for being here. I understand he has so much to do after now, so he has to leave us at this point. But we still have the other two gentlemen in the studio. Thank you so very much, Ambassador Roy, for being here. Okay, we understand he's back. All right, we'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll be having this second conversation. Stay with us.